Peace. Good afternoon. Like to welcome you guys back to another edition of the File Playland. As always, I'm your file player. Um, I just came on to this morning stream because I wanted to switch it up. Like yesterday, I wanted to come on like late at night, but I was like mad faded. Like the and it's because of the way I've been feeling lately. I don't know if some of you are watching for or haven't heard me say before. Like I caught a little head injury, and sometimes it's hard for me to put like cohesive thoughts together. Um, and a lot of times I'll pause like when I'm talking and shit. Because I'm feeling fucked up lately. But it's all good. I'm here with you today, and I want to thank everybody who's coming through for the first time, or if you are one of my subscribers, like the whole 100 of you, like thank you for coming through. Nevertheless, um, also too, going back to like my head injury thing, if I'm gonna jump on like whenever, like at random, um, and right now I had like 3 cups of coffee, so I'm like more talkative than like normal. But if I pause like or I look like fucked up in the game, like like if I'm losing myself, um, you gotta forgive me in advance. It's not me, but I hope you guys are doing wonderfully. Um, if I had news to give you as far as in the regular world, it's not coming now because I haven't read any newspapers or anything yet. But what I do want to talk about the my favorite subject, the Errol Spence undue fanboyism that's corroding boxing as we speak. Now, Errol Spence fanboys are gonna get defensive and say, "Oh, well, you Bud fanboys are," no. One, I'm not a Bud fanboy. Two, I'm not like the biggest Bud fan in the world. I do appreciate his work, but I mean, I think maybe at the like now I started like like Bud more like of late. It's not a new thing because I know who's holding up this fight, and it's not him in my eyes. So lately, I've been more of a Bud fan than I was historically, if you will. But a lot of these Errol Spence fans will tell you that Bud fans really don't exist. But then they'll say like, "Oh, Bud fans are this, Bud fans are that." It's I don't really see a large like volume of dudes that do this shit on the internet, like YouTube boxing, that are like rabid Bud fans that are like saying, "Oh, well, fucking that are really like saying like, oh, Bud should do this as far as money goes." I haven't really seen that like core like fan base like or echo chamber on the internet or a pocket of fans that are like big time like fucking talking about you know what Bud should get and whatnot. It's usually a reaction to something that Errol Spence puts out there himself. Like it's usually Errol Spence like like talking the A side bullshit and you know and then a lot of people that don't agree with Errol Spence like will come out on the internet and like shoot that shit down or like But a lot of these arguments that are perpetuated like between Errol Spence versus Bud are created by and large by Errol Spence fans or by Errol Spence's moves himself. Like Errol Spence saying, "Oh, you're gonna take 60-40." Well then all these Errol Spence fans online would come online and defend that Bud should get 60-40. Errol Spence says, "Oh, he's gonna take the easy route." All these other fans follow him online and say, "Oh, well, why, so Errol Spence shouldn't get his little payday off Danny Garcia or his little payday off Porter." That's just what it is, and like it's a lot easier to do that than negotiate with Bob. Bob is not in the mist anymore. Like, they barely come online to mention that. Um, but a lot of these arguments begin with what Errol Spence does. Period. And then a lot of like these fans that come online for him have to like defend his actions. They have to pick and choose because Errol Spence doesn't make it easy for them. Errol Spence makes it extremely hard. November 20th was when Sean Porter got beat by Bud Crawford. Something that these Errol Spence fans were begging for years that Bud had to do, like before he had the ability to enter a conversation with Errol Spence. Bud detaches uh, Porter or dispatches of Porter, and Errol Spence has essentially said nothing since like November 20th, and right now we're in December 16th. So almost a month where Errol Spence has said zero regarding his biggest rival, the biggest fight in boxing. All this time, radio silence from Errol Spence. So like Errol Spence makes it hard for his fanboys, for a lot of these channels that like play themselves and go above and beyond, like trying to give coverage to Errol. Errol makes it real hard for these dudes. And it's like, it's not even frustrating to me anymore. Like, honestly, like the Errol Spence fans' behavior. It's not frustrating me. Like, I don't think that they're getting in the way of the fight all the way. Like, I think a lot of it, it's just Errol Spence. You don't want to fight Bud Crawford. It has nothing to do with negotiating with Bob Arum. Bob Arum is no longer in the way. It has nothing to do with side of the street. Right now, for all intents and purposes, Bud has no side of the street. It has to do with the fact that Errol doesn't want to fight Bud because he thinks that he could lose versus Bud. Period. I mean, right now there's no obstacle in the way, and yet for over almost close to a month, you've heard zero from Errol Spence regarding like supposedly putting up a tweet and taking it down, which is super suspect in itself. I mean, like I don't know if you guys, I got to hear about that story after the fact. I mean, like I don't know. That's why I don't be fucking with the internet like that or following what these boxers be doing on the internet because frankly, I don't care. Two, it's not that amazing. Like I mean, like a a subliminal call out, like oh, like that there's nothing to follow there. And like besides, I'm not an internet person like that. I don't follow anything on the internet like that. But what is he doing as far as his call out game recently? Since everything that they've begged of him like to do, i.e., beating Porter in a better fashion than anybody's ever done it, getting rid of Bob. What else does he have to do? Like but you give him like a lot of these channels will give him veiled credit, like oh well, he won, but we think Kenny Porter may have fixed the fight, or like try to get into some big philosophical debate as to Kenny Porter doing this, that. Like, who cares? That fight already happened. Bud clearly won. Bud was going to clearly win regardless of Kenny Porter stopping the fight. Bud was probably going to clearly win in that round where they eventually stopped the fight without Kenny Porter jumping into the ring. Clearly. But everything that's asked of him, he's done it. I mean, he's increasing his call-out game. I don't think that his call-out game is that great, but having a semblance of a call-out game, basically Bud's call-out game is the equivalent of talking underneath your breath, is better than Errol's call-out game, which is basically having a few crude thoughts about Bud here and there and letting other people, like his fanboys, come online and try to decipher Errol Spence saying nothing, or Errol Spence putting an emoji out with like a unicorn or some shit. But that's what it is. And that's why this video, the subject at hand and the title at hand is Errol Spence's fans are becoming the new AJ fans. I've touched on this subject before, but I want to beat a dead horse and plug away at the cringiest fanboy faction in boxing today. Errol Spence fans, bar none, probably the worst I've ever seen. Even like we're going, we're even going past the racist thing now. I think like that, you put any racist shit on my channel, like it's getting taken down. Like I don't agree with races one iota. Like I don't agree with racist boxing fanboys. Like, I lived through many of that stuff. Manny Pacquiao's fans, Canelo fans, AJ fans had a tinge of racism in them. But I lived in even before that, when you were actually seeing people say racist ass shit on YouTube. Those, at the end of the day, I took them as these guys don't really watch boxing, or they're just coming online to spur trouble. Like, Errol Spence fanboys actually know a little bit of boxing. Like, I think a lot of these racist cats that were going onto the internet in the early 2000s and shit like that, they ain't know boxing. They were just coming online to bother people and to throw a little racist comment in there and dip, and probably knew that somebody was going to fight, but they probably weren't following any boxer. Errol Spence fans, I think they do follow Errol Spence. Maybe they started watching boxing 5 years ago, but they know a little something. But one thing that they probably have to be aware of, that's staring them right in the face, is that, one, boxing is a pretty dead sport. On top of that, Errol Spence is not even he's probably in the top 5 maybe of boxers. It's not even close to the number 1 Canelo, or number 2 AJ, a combination of Fury, or he's not bigger than Wilder. He's not bigger than Pacquiao. He's at the same rung as Bud Crawford. I mean, if you want to put his resume at 147 as some big deal, I mean, how many points do you put him ahead of Crawford because of that, his bum ass resume at 147? Oh, but he won belts. Those belts were gift belts. Danny Garcia's belt was a gift belt. He fought Robert Guerrero for that belt. Robert Guerrero, who was already on the shelf. Porter, I mean, had already lost. I mean, I'm not knocking it. He won, he won the belts, but Bud's has had some major accomplishments since he's entered this argument. He cleared out a division. He won a championship at the next division, at your division, Errol, immediately. Oh, he did that against Horn. My man, Danny Garcia beating Guerrero, even though Danny Garcia was leaps and bounds ahead of Horn as far as reputation goes, isn't that much of a bigger feat than, if it's probably on par with Bud beating Horn at 147. In fact, it's probably a bigger feat for Bud, because Bud jumped up the division to go win a championship his first time out. That registered no credit. But this Errol fan base, I've been tracking them for years. It's not like that. I think that that their behavior was out of pocket in 2020, 2021. I mean, I just didn't find it convenient to make videos about it then. But I mean, right now, I mean, you can't stop the shades of the sun by using your hands. Errol Spence is ducking this fight, bar none. You want to put business in the way of it, you go ahead, whatever makes you feel better. But at the end of the day, Bud is the one pushing for this fight. Errol's been ducking this fight for almost half a decade. Everything that has come from Errol regarding a fight against Bud is non-committal, happens once or twice a year, maybe. Nothing of real relevance, or except Errol Spence jumping into the to grab a mic at a press conference, while he was drunk, when he got a little bit of the juice in him, and got brave enough to say something about Bud. Even then, he was being evasive, and that was years ago. But you guys, are standing on the wrong side of history with this debate. On the wrong side of history. Errol Spence and Bud Crawford are Hondas and Toyotas. When you talk about Wilder, then you start going up to your Maseratis and Canelo, your Bentleys. But these this debate that's happening is Toyotas versus Hondas. Neither one of these cats are a big deal like that. And then you know, like the Errol Spence fans are making this like into some sort of beef. You know, and at the end of the day, it's like you know, I'm like, I'm not taking the side of, oh, you come to my face, you motherfuckers. Fuck these Errol Spence fans. Like, nah, you get in my face. Like, I can give a fuck about you, bro. Like, if you, you know, we don't have, it's not on like that. I don't care. I'm more making fun of you guys. I don't have no problems with you guys. I don't want no problems. I just think you guys are ridiculous. You guys are acting like hoes. Errol Spence is acting like a hoe. Could that change? I mean, if Errol Spence stopped acting like a hoe tomorrow, then he's no longer acting like a hoe. If you guys switch it up and like put a little pressure on your husband Errol, you know, then I mean, I think then you'd be on the right side of history. You know, you're late to the party, but you're here. There's room on this ship. There's room on the ship of people pushing for fights rather than people talking business, fucking hate boxing business, especially coming from you guys, from Errol Spence fans. Like Errol Spence is one windshield away from being a thousandaire. Like my man's gets drunk all the time. He's accomplished shit in his career. You guys say Bud hasn't accomplished shit. You know, Errol Spence either is on par or like fucking. You can make an argument either way, but neither one of them, in my eyes, have accomplished shit. You know, and the thing is, like, you guys, like with all things internet, take things like way too far. You guys take it to the point where it's like beef, like, oh, these Bud Crawford fans. Hey Lala D, thank you for coming through. You Bud Crawford fans are some beta male. Yeah, you know, like and the thing is too, it's gonna be a real big beef on YouTube between one boxing faction of fans that's mostly black against another boxing fan of factions that are mostly black. But the conversations are getting worse. Like y'all like taking it like way too personal. Like y'all don't know about business. Like oh y'all some beta males. We know how you Bud fans are. Bud fans didn't exist, I thought. And I'm not a Bud fan like that. Let me see. I think they accomplished plenty, but I think Errol maybe lost a little bit of hunger. No, he certainly did. I mean, he certainly did. But at the end, you know, and ultimately, like, even if he did lose that hunger, like, this is like my stance with all these guys. Even though, like, you know, of course, I do respect the hustle, like boxing. You know, I do know that like boxers at the end of their careers, like, are punch drunk and all that. But fuck these dudes, bro. At the end of the day, fuck these dudes. These dudes are here to entertain me, and I'm not even paying for these fights. You know, it's more of a question of like, what are you doing for me? Like, I don't like every boxing conversation now on YouTube has to do with some business shit. It's repulsive. And now, like, people are dissing each other over like business talk. Like, oh, you know, it's because you don't know business. Like, fucking, you never had no money. You don't know business. Errol Spence fans know business. You know, it's corny. Let me see. El Foul, he's kind of being forced to get back in the game from his enemies and his fans. Well, no, I think the pressure is rising for Errol. But I think that if his rabid fan base, which is like really doing a lot of his groundwork for really no reason. Like, I understand if Errol was like unheralded or was like being underrated, especially in the terms of like being a brother. You know, I get that. Like, that's always been a factor in boxing. Like, the brothers don't get like the shine that they deserve, like, or they got to go like through real tough routes. Errol ain't been through no tough route though. Errol's doing regular shit. Bud's doing regular shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the thing is that people who get online, like, I see far more like to cap for Errol and than they do like with Bud. Oh, it's because Bud don't got no fans like that. All right, whatever. Like, you know, no matter what, like a lot of these channels that and the thing is too, is like I love a lot of these channels. Love them. I got into YouTube boxing because of these channels, a lot of them. But lately they're on the wrong side of history when it comes to this argument. You know, and the thing is too that, you know, and this is why I want to compare it like with the AJ and Errol fans, is because I lived through the whole AJ versus Wilder debate, and like, you know, now I'm seeing it with a way lesser example than Errol Spence, because Errol Spence ain't no fucking Wilder. Errol Spence ain't no fucking AJ. Neither is Bud. Both of them together ain't neither one of those guys. When he first said, "My belts can't feed kids," sorry if I misquoted, I realized that means he felt rich. Yeah, he probably did. What you think Bud is regular? It's okay if you do. I just want to be clear. Well, no, I think that Bud is an exceptional fighter. I'm just saying that these guys aren't pulling like that. Like, where I think at one point, if Bud fights anybody not named Canelo, that he's gonna jockey Errol Spence for a position. And I don't think that Errol Spence, regardless of who he fights outside of Bud Crawford, is gonna jockey Bud Crawford significantly for a position. I'm sorry, either Crawford or Canelo. But like, a lot of these defender channels, like now they're trying to, oh well, let Bud go fight Charlo. He's being ridiculous. Like, what? Why not like that argument and like just say like, let's like push a little bit towards Errol, like to get this fight. These guys like give it like a little bit of soft coverage, and like it's anything that they jump at chance at, like like to say something like negative about Bud, they're all over it. Like, oh, Bud's like calling this out, like when Bud like did that video in the beach, like calling out Errol, like looking for the big fish, or it was like them eating lemons to say something even positive about that. He's joking around because he's saying that 60-40. He's still joking around, but that's not a real call out. Like, it's like just fuck, like just cover the shit as you're seeing it. Like, and you're seeing zero, not you, Lalati. You're seeing zero from Errol Spence, like quotes, anything, and you're seeing at least a little bit of traction from Bud. But like what they do is, since Errol Spence doesn't say shit right now, or ever really, that they gotta like beat around the bush or like give it like kind of like soft coverage when Bud says something like in that direction. I feel. Let me see. But I don't think Bud is a regular talent. I think Bud's exceptional. AJ, why is Bud not comparable to AJ? AJ is a duck. No, he is a big duck. I'm saying as far as like, where is Tyrone? I don't know. I think Tyrone's in school, but I'm sorry that I'm reading so slow too. It's just like hard for me to hone in sometimes. But no, I don't think like I think that Bud, Errol are both well, I'll press the brakes on Errol a little bit. I think Bud is a like, as far as the Bud AJ comparison. I'm saying like as far as, unfortunately, the business of boxing, that part, which I don't like covering, but as far as like drawing power and whatnot, I think that AJ, Wilder have a lot more drawing power than Errol Spence and Bud combined. That's what I meant. Like, I don't think that they're big stars like that. Like, Errol and Bud, unless they fight each other. The victor of that fight is going to be boxing superstar. And the loser of that fight is still going to be, relevant boxer. But I wanted this fight to happen 3 times. So if the victor of this fight happens to beat the other guy, if Errol beats Bud 3 times, could you imagine the star that Errol Spence is going to be? He could surpass Canelo. What if the victor of that fight goes up to 154 and then starts demolishing shit like up there? Jesus Christ, Alpha. I just checked my Robinhood. I lost like 700 in about one month. Suck at this. Yeah, I mean, that's the bad thing with but take your shit off Robinhood, man. Don't fuck with Robinhood. Robinhood just lets you cash out. Like you need, if you like, you got to be able to hold these assets, or to, rather than have them on an exchange like Robinhood. But if you have Robinhood, just cash it out and then try to get like real possession of anything you try to buy. But these dudes are wilding, and the thing is, like, where I want to compare the AJ fans like with Errol Spence fans is because as you guys know, Errol Spence, AJ, Wilder actually told AJ that he would take 60-40 to fight him off the rip. That was great. I thought that was fantastic. He put pressure on AJ. Off the rip, AJ or his team, whatever, said that Wilder was gonna get a flat fee if they ever fought. That led to some bullshit. I didn't agree with that one iota. I thought that that was a avoidance via negotiation or via a bad offer. Um, when a lot of that shit kept happening back and forth, and Wilder put his foot down and said, "You know what? I'm taking 50-50 or I'm not going to fight." I didn't see one channel, one singular channel that's acting cringy as fuck today with this Errol Spence Bud Crawford debate. Say back then, well, like AJ does have a lot more drawing power. AJ's the one selling out the stadiums, and that's what they're saying about. But I'm only quoting shit that they're saying about Errol Spence now. Errol Spence is selling out the state. Errol's the one selling out the stadiums now. Errol's the one doing good on pay-per-view, And I think that it was a lot more of a reasonable debate when it came to AJ and Wilder, and like maybe saying that Wilder didn't deserve an equal split. And I agreed with Wilder's stance that he wanted 50-50 because Wilder, at the end of the day, thought that they were disrespecting him via negotiation. So, I mean, if that's his stance, that's his stance, period. I mean, did it net me the fight at the end of the day? No, it didn't. But at that point, I mean, AJ's Errol Spence has been doing this 60-40 shit for nearly half a decade too. At least his fans have, but I don't think that Errol Spence is any bit bigger than Bud Crawford. And I think we should put this to test too. Because if Errol Spence fights anybody but fucking Bud Crawford next, regardless of who it is, I don't care if it's a fucking Porter rematch. Like, I don't care if it's Jamel Charlo. You guys go out and fucking debo that fight. Burglar Army in 2022 and 2021. Like, we ain't paying for shit. If you guys want to cave in when they do give us good fights, I mean, that's fine by me. I ain't paying for a fight ever again. To my mother. My cousin could fight, and I'm not going to pay for that shit. And that's because these boxing promotions know that they're going to have a certain amount of fans come to the sport regardless. They know that they could keep us engaged by YouTube boxing. Fuck that. YouTube boxing is infiltrated with business talk. Fuck boxing business talk. I have some public too. You like public? I don't know. I don't think I've ever used public. It might be my first time hearing of it, honestly. But at this stage, I mean, if these guys wanna put the clamps on us by feeding us bullshit, you go ahead and do that. And a bullshit fight, in its purest form would be Errol Spence versus whoever, not named Bud Crawford. Go ahead and do that, Errol Spence. You go ahead and fucking go fight somebody else, scurry off, and go fight God knows who, and then let's see those pay-per-view numbers, how they're looking like. Especially if the Burglar Army really puts their clamps on this and joins me and not pay for these fights. Let's see how much you do then. Without the Burglar Army, you would do 150 probably in pay-per-view. Put that Burglar Army to test. Look what they did to Tank, and they weren't even organized then. Imagine when they do get organized and not pay for any of your fights. What are your numbers going to do then? That 190 that Bud Crawford just pulled with Porter would probably look like a benchmark that you want to reach. Will fuck up the boxing tenor for the boxing landscape as far as you guys making money off of us. Keep fronting on us like that. That's and the biggest culprit in all this stuff right now, it's the Spence guys. They're stopping us from and Errol Spence himself stopping the biggest fight from being made. And if you want to follow the Mayweather format as it related to Manny Pacquiao for Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence, we only got Mayweather Pacquiao once, and it was a whack ass fight. So I mean, are we gonna wait for the pressure to build for these guys to be past their expiration date to get a lesser fight one time when we could have 2 or 3 fights. Now, I don't want to wait till the end of 2021. And Burglar Army, same shit goes for Bud. Bud gives us a doozy for his next fight that we don't want to watch. Fuck him too. Go steal his fight. It's nothing to me. Like, I'm not on the side of like fucking whose pay-per-views do better. But I think it would be delicious if Errol Spence fucked around and chose a bullshit opponent next, and to have the machine with a little bit of steam behind it work on your fight next, Errol Spence, and Debo, your fight, Errol Spence. Alpha, you're already naturally a haggler. Being from NYC, people got to work and offer competitive prices to eat in NYC. I'm a haggler too. I'm sorry. Let's starve them, Alpha, all of them. Yeah, word up. Like, I don't want to take part in like having these dudes looking cool online and like fucking I don't like fuck with none of these guys, like the way they carry themselves. Honestly, I mean, like, it's gonna sound like I'm trying to like give Bud undue credit, but at least Bud, like, I mean, post fight, these young guys that are coming up in the game right now are giving him credit, like, oh, Bud did, like, at least Bud has the boxing shit covered. Training wise, the regiment, the lifestyle, the fact that he's married to the same woman, he has that, a lot of those boxes in order. Oh, he checks all those boxes, whatever the fuck have you. The he's not gonna give you a dud because he lost the hunger. He's just right now at his current juncture for the past 5 years, regardless of whether he re-signed the butt with Bob or not, he's just in a fucked up place. He's being blackballed by a bunch of crabs. But those bunch of crabs have a lot of fights coming up on pay-per-view. Those bunch of crabs, PBC, pussy bunch of crabs, are trying to give me a Luis Ortiz fight next, and charge me for the benefit. No, thank you. These bunch of crabs are like in a really shaky position. Imagine what Luis Ortiz's fight is going to do on pay-per-view coming up. If Tank Davis is this bad, you could probably see a 30 spot from that. And again, like, I mean, I don't even like getting in these conversations. I'm only getting into these conversations because they're such fails. They're such failures. They're such duds. The fact that it happened to Tank Davis first, on the heels of Mayweather saying that basically, eat shit, you're not going to get a good Tank fight. Here's Leonard LB, he's going to tell you the same shit, buy his pay-per-view. And the fact that they pull a 42,000, oh, no, yeah, that's not the right numbers. You know how these people be making rumors online? I don't give a fuck. I'm running with 42,000. It's because you don't know the business. You don't know the numbers. So what are the numbers then? You don't know the business. Sorry. El Foul. Jamel just called out Bud at 154. He said they can do it 50-50. Damn. I wish Andrade could make 154. I know he would jump all over that. Yeah, and he'd beat the shit out of Jamel. No, and like a lot of people are saying, like, because I did see that call out of Jamel Charlo apparently saying that Bud should jump up to 154, and that since he's holding the belts, that he'll give him 50-50. And people say, oh, well, that's more reasonable. One channel that I love, like, was, oh, that's more reasonable. Just this morning. That's reasonable. That's more reasonable than Bud asking for 50-50 from Errol Spence. Because Charlo controls 154. My man, if Bud went to 154 tomorrow, Bud would be the biggest fighter at 154. If Errol Spence went to 154 tomorrow, Errol Spence would be the biggest fighter at 154. If Sean Porter went to 154 tomorrow, he'd be the biggest fighter at 154. Danny Garcia goes to 154 tomorrow. He would likely be the biggest fighter at 154. or the A side, or fucking the big ticket seller. He's the one selling out all the stadiums. Let me see. Elfal, yeah. Oh my bad, I read that. I'm sorry. Hey, lost one. What do you think about Cambosos versus Loma? I think Loma wins that fight easy. I think Loma also. I also think Loma wins that fight, and I think it's gonna be a little bit of a G move, from the part of Top Rank, stealing that fight, like from whoever, like whether it be Haney or Tank, you know, and I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm just leading you up to a prelude that a lot of people are going to be crying over that. When boxing business or typical business practices work against the fans, but it is what it is. But I think Loma does detach Camboso's skull in that fight. But it would be a good fight. Elfal, did you see Blood's recent post? He went in on Ellerby. I guess Ellerby blocked him. So Blood said, I'm blocking you, Ellerby, for my money. Now, facts. No, and I didn't watch Blood's recent post. I watched Blood's all the Blood shit, bro. Blood's my right now. Blood is one of my the guy who I tried to model myself after. I would never be a Blood. I think Blood's a fantastic channel, and I think Blood is an underrated channel. He could be far bigger than what he is, I feel. But and Bud's on Errol's ass, and like I think Bud like kind of like feels a little bit bad for not being on his ass earlier, like on Errol's ass earlier, like I do. Like I should have been like call this shit out. But honestly, like there's a lot of outside pressure a lot of times with like YouTube boxing. People are like fucking will call you whatever if God forbid you disagree with their favorite fighter. But life's too short. I mean, 2021 is just about over. Fuck these guys. Tomorrow I could get hit by an ice cream truck, like fucking, and that'll be my last breath. Like, so I'm, who cares about like people that are standing in the way of like my entertainment. Let's see. Blood's the guy who does all the documentaries, right? That's correct. I think that's retro boxing documentary. I can't recall like verbatim lost one, but yeah, he does make the documentaries, and he's fantastic too. Bloods Salvador Sanchez got a documentary, got an award. He's doing a Hagler one too. No, I've known about the him supposedly doing a Hagler one in the future. Blood's fantastic though, and I did watch the Salvador Sanchez documentary, and that's one guy fucking doing these documentaries. And it's unheralded, I think, as is Blood. Lost one, yes. I really like the Sweet Pea one. Yes, very good documentary. That was one of my favorite ones, and it came right on the heels of the champ passing. Yeah, but and Bud is very candid. I mean, Blood is very candid. And I'm gonna be candid right now. I mean, like a couple years ago, would I doubt that people, whether subtly or outright, maybe advise Bud not to give cover a certain fight a certain way, or like I wouldn't doubt that, because they've done that shit to me. Like, oh well, like trying to like call me like on the like generate conversations with me with like like where I already know what they're gonna ask. And I'm not even a fucking big channel. I've never been a big channel. I've never had. Right now is the most subs I've ever had, 116. I'm a fucking bum as far as channels go. But the people that want to like really juice the narrative or control the narrative. I mean, like I've been like kind of like noticing like, or like maybe in hindsight, that they've been doing a lot of this shit all along. And at the end of the day, I have no problems with anybody. I ain't got no problems with no channels. I ain't got no problems with any of these boxes, really. I mean, if I saw Errol Spence in person and he used to tell me, oh, you're that fucking fat Puerto Rican guy, El Foul player that always does those videos talking shit about me, aren't you? I'm going to tell him, fuck yeah, who the fuck are you? But I don't have a problem with him where I'll go to his fight and just scream some corny shit out, like fucking maybe if we got into a conversation, like fucking, I'd probably tell him what it is. But it's not that kind of party. Like, like as far as I don't even know what fucking point I was just making, to be honest. But I think a lot of this stuff's been happening. Like, I mean, was it the biggest boxing conspiracy like on YouTube? Like, that like now it's like culminating? No, like I think like it's just that Errol Spence is the most worthless motherfucker to be capping over that I've seen in recent history for no fucking reason. I mean, like it like, and people would probably say, "Oh, Lomachenko's fans were like cringy because Lomachenko wasn't a big deal like that." Yeah, but Lomachenko was fighting the whole way. Lomachenko, we wanted him to fight Rigondeaux, he fought Rigondeaux. You wanted him to fight Teofimo, he fought Teofimo. He fought other good fights along the way. Hasn't even been fighting for that long. He fought Salido. Second time out. Like, not to say that fucking Salido is some fucking killer or anybody on Lomachenko's resume like to be some Hall of Famers, but at the end of the day, he consistently gave us fights we wanted. Now, where his fans were out of pocket, like before, sure they were, but in Lomachenko's cases, they're far more merited than in Errol Spence's case. Errol Spence has no argument. Zero. You're a fucking nobody. Damn, I drank 2 cups of coffee and my wife left a little half right before I started this live stream. So I'm like cooking. Woo! And I'm wearing a vest. See. If he says that to me, you're that squeaky voice chick that always talking about shit, I would be like, no, that's my annoying. Nah. Tell him, no, that's my Puerto Rican cousin from New York. I also have a squeaky voice for a dude. Same can be said about Bud. He's fighting guys, people doubting him all the way. No, absolutely. Bud is doing a lot of the things that we want him to do. Granted, I mean, he's being outright limited by what he could do. Everybody on PBC has shown apprehension when it comes to fighting Bud before he got to a 147 and after. And he's been a champion at 147 for years. Has Porter really called him out before they fought him? No. He just started. Has Keith Thurman ever called him out? No. Just started. Has Errol Spence called him out? No. Never started. Errol Spence is saying shit. Let me see. He ducked Haney, though. Loma is crazy overrated, though. Nah, he is overrated. Well, the thing is, too, I think even though, like, I don't rate a lot of that shit in the past, but based on, like, today's accomplishments, I do have to put, like, the Olympics and the amateur shit in addition to, like, what he's done since he started fighting. But do I think Lomachenko has a overrated persona? Like, hell's yeah. I mean, like, when you're comparing him to Muhammad Ali and all this shit, like, the fact that was even in the air, even with a loss, in spite of the fact that he already lost to Salido, of course, there's a lot of unreasonable fans that, like, happen to root for Loma. But, like, what he's done in the ring, I mean, like, I give it up. But with Errol Spence's shit, a lot of the accomplishments have mostly to do with money. Because 1/3 of, like, Errol Spence's, like, 1/3 of Errol Spence's major accomplishments, as far as in the ring, I mean, like, you can't debate. Like, he knocked off Porter, which Errol Spence did too, in better fashion than Errol Spence did. I mean, he fought a well-pasted Brook. I mean, but Errol Spence, his biggest accomplishment was against Brook. But then you got to factor everything he's done at 140. I mean, like, but what I get pissed at is a lot of this debate, as far as fanboys go, has to do with solely money. And Errol Spence ain't a big moneymaker like that. I guarantee that if Errol Spence doesn't fight Bud next, that next fight is going to do less than 200 pay-per-view. Might do 175, depending on who it is. But know this. I am going to guarantee that, like, the fight does morbidly. But know that I will come on this bitch every day with the 6 of you that are fucking watching at this current juncture. and hopefully generate more fanfare along the way. And if 5 of you don't pay for that fight, then that's a fucking victory in my eyes. I ain't paying for it, so it will be 6. But that's gonna be the trend going forward. Is one, shit ain't happening in the ring that we give a shit about. But 2, why are we paying for this? Why are we paying for this? Let's not pay for fights. That's going to be the conversation. And then there's going to be a lot of hoes online that are talking about, well, Errol Spence he drives an Accord. Bud drives a Corolla. Like, all right, go debate that shit online if you want to. You'll be the last holdouts buying fights like Sims, trying to play a pissing contest with 2 dudes that if they don't make money on pay-per-view, they ain't gonna make money. If they don't make money with each other, they ain't gonna make significant money. So if you guys want to be the holdouts and debate that online, I think a lot of boxing fans or real boxing fans will still continue to talk about these fights, and a large portion of their conversations are still going to be, even though you should go watch these fights, don't pay for them. So I'm doing. I'm still a big boxing fan. As much as I want to walk away from the sport because fucking hockey season's on and the Rangers are doing good, fuck the Knicks. I'm still watching boxing, but honestly, it's giving me a lot of vigor to come online and trash the pay-per-view system, particularly as it's run right now, where you're gonna try to charge me for a Mario Barrios, eat shit. Versus fucking Keith Thurman, eat shit. Loma's resume is pretty good though. Now he is. You can call me a fanboy, Aki, if you want, but Loma is nasty. Nah, Loma is good, bro. You don't think he will lose again I don't think he will lose again for a while. I think he will lose again though, last one. I think he could lose against Cambosos too. I think Errol. I liked Errol. He properly beat one of my favorite fighters at the time in Brook. I just don't think he can be the same after that crash. No, I know. And the thing is too that like as far as and I mentioned it before that he's one windshield away from not being a great fighter. Shit happens. Shit happens in life. Like, I'm talking to you fucking with my head wobbling and shit and forgetting my sentences like fucking due to an accident, whatever the fuck. But shit happens in boxing, bro. Shit happens with drunk motherfuckers like Errol Spence. And I think that if he's not the same after this car accident, could be. But time won't make it any better. And I think if we get anything less than 3 fights between Bud and Errol, I think the boxing fans are gonna get gypped. And like to reach to that point, boxing business talk ain't gonna help. It's gonna get in the way of things, and it's not even merited. Let me see. I think we should. I think we would. I'm sorry. I think we would have got that Bud fight by now if if he was. Let me. I gotta go back to the first comment. I think we could have got that Bud fight by now if it was. I'm sorry. That may not be clear. Preach. No, thank you, Word of Mouth, for coming through. Oh, Watch Your Mouth. I'm sorry. But the I hope that maybe after this too, when we start bringing these fights that don't merit pay-per-view down to its knees, that will kill boxing business talk. Don't give a fuck about boxing business talk anymore. Let's dead that conversation like fucking once we dead this pay-per-view model. Like it's the biggest cornballs online that are fucking talking boxing business. That try to sugarcoat and like work circles around fighters that they do like versus fighters they don't like. That shit is whack. It's repulsive. It's cringy. And if I gain a little bit of or I lose subs along the way, like I have like since I started with these tirades, it is what it is. I mean, like, I think I'll gain some too. The party of the cheap people, and I'm fucking cheap. You over here like capping for Bud. You don't even buy his fights. Damn right, I don't buy his fights. I'm buying nobody's shit. You're a customer. I'm a burglar. Let me see. Pay-per-view will never die. It will just keep coming back in new forms. Yeah, I think so. I mean, but So long as there's the capabilities of me to stream fights, that'll never die too. We'll be here like for the end of eternity, like fucking sure we might lose the fight in the middle of the way, but who gives a shit? I'd rather do that than like pay. It's fucking expensive, bro. Yo, imagine like, if you have to if you're just getting by and you set aside an allotment to buy that Tank Davis pay-per-view because you want to support Tank Davis, like fucking God knows why. And then, the fucking the check engine light comes on in your car. Now, right before Christmas. That person will probably stop watching boxing. Just make a movie like that. Don't worry about losing sub. You'll always have us. Thank you, thank you, the like. No, like I'm not one bit concerned about losing sub. I actually find it hilarious, like that. That some people are defecting. This motherfucker's talking about Errol again. Like, yeah, damn right, I am talking about Errol again. He gives me a lot to talk about. Like, and the thing is too that a lot of these guys, I mean, like, they're sounding mighty Batiman, like, with these conversations. Like with this defensive wife talk of or wifey talk when they're defending their man Errol. I gotta cover my face when I do these impressions because it's ladylike, but oh, Bug gotta kiss the rings. Bug gotta kiss the rings when it comes to Errol. He's gotta bend the knee. He don't got shit on my Errol. He gotta bend the knee. Don't you come to this stadium, this Errol town. Like fucking sorry. I lost myself. Let me see. Why I appreciate the zone, £4 a month and you get everything. That's cheaper than it is here, but I wouldn't even buy that shit though. I have no cable in this house. You want to see my cable, bro? Let me take you over to file plate. Oh shit, I have my charger plugged in. Let me see. See all the fancy decor? Oh yeah. Oh, antique decor and fucking the $2 fucking plug-in joint that you can see the wire like on my TV. Fucking that's my cable right there. And YouTube. I ain't buying shit. But if I don't want to give anybody a dime anymore. And if I am a cheapskate, and you know how many people cut I always thought it was embarrassing like to go to somebody else's house and like fucking like, oh, I don't got HBO. Like I think like I would fucking put a plaque on this wall like right now, like and say I don't pay for anything. The if you do, you do though. Like I'm not dissing it, but like I think after a while, like I don't want to get I'm thankfully I'm not paying for fights because it could have been a conversation with me, like personally. Let's say like a bad fight that you pay for, or everybody's had those duds. If you have like pay-per-view boxing parties and you pay for a shitty ass fight, it just kills the mood. Like, but like a lot of people are one move away from, or one bad pay-per-view event from them buying away from never watching boxing again. And could I have joined that party? Who knows? I mean, like, a lot of the talk right now, it doesn't inspire me much, like, to watch this sport. But and it's not to say I'm not a big boxing fan. I'm a big boxing fan than 95% of all these people like that actually make videos. But it's just after a while, like, I mean, this isn't the sport I grew up with. It's not. And like when you're over here like fucking going on and on about why I should give two shits about like fighters like Errol Spence or like what they've accomplished. I mean, Errol Spence gives no quotes that like fucking doesn't have like great quotes in press conferences, or doesn't do cool shit, that I'm impressed with. Like maybe you guys are impressed with that tight jeans shit or dancing with dudes, or that shit doesn't impress me. I'm not like, not just because it's like Bati-ish, but I mean, maybe it missed me that generation. I'm old now. Damn, I forgot what point I was trying to make again. But that, there's not like, oh, that's what I was gonna say. But these dudes aren't big stars like that. Was Errol Spence a bigger star than Zab Judah? And Zab Judah took a bunch, L's. Zab Judah was being ducked hard body by Mexican fighters. Zab Judah lost to Mayweather. So that's a bigger fight than any that Errol Spence has had. In addition to the fact that Zab Judah had a personality. He had the whole goon from New York shit. Motherfucker beat up a guy like at a dice game, like and robbed him on camera. Gangster. You know what I'm saying? What's Errol do? Like besides like walk around with those dumbass droopy eyes and dance with dudes. And not say a quote like that seems like he wants to fight Bud Crawford or front on fighting Keith Thurman. I mean, I understand you have a vendetta against Keith Thurman. But what the fuck does that do for me? I'm an asshole, fucking watching this fight in my living room in a fucking tank top and pajamas, what's that gonna do for me that you got a vendetta against Keith Thurman? Now watch these whole ass Errol Spence try to line up a Keith Thurman fight for February or some shit. You see, foul player. He did fight Keith. He don't need Bud. Yeah, but I'm sorry, bro. I left you guys hanging for the comments. Yeah, there might be some bad cards, but you get all the good ones. That's sick. You got yourself on the big screen. Oh yeah. That's one of my fucking viewers. Why would you pay for something if you can't get it for free? Yeah, definitely. Well, it's not that you're not buying or you're cheap. The problem is it's not worth it. Precisely. That's the marching orders. I mean, or that is not worth it. That's the MO. It really isn't worth it. It's not worth it. And it's not just because the PBC is doing it either. Because the PBC card, Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman was free of charge. Fantastic fight, big deal. But now, the same company months later, is trying to run game on me. Fuck out of here. Just being smart. Yeah, I mean it's logical, and I think a lot of us should start being logical. And it's not a big political statement. It's not to do it to one fighter and not do it to another. It kind of be like killing the momentum. I think we should do it to everybody. Fuck them. I think leading up to every singular fight, it changes on every fight that we get motivated by the fact that we're fucking gonna watch a fight free of charge. And even if you don't have to watch the fight, I watched I heard Trey X call the fight before Isaac Cruz and Tank Davis, and I missed a little bit of the beginning of Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz because I was in the car. And I felt like I was missing something when I fucking stopped Trey X's stream or Marlo's Corner. And shout out to them. These broadcasts stink. These companies fucking suck. All these companies are playing into the same shit too. Or giving coverage to the fact that, hey, there's a fucking boxer within the same division who's a huge deal that everybody's talking for you to fight, and they don't mention him in the post fight. Fuck that out of here, bro. A lot of the times I watch these fights for the post fights just as much. Think I want to watch a Bud Crawford fight against Porter? Fucking hells no. I wanted to see what he said about Errol. Think I give a shit about Errol fighting Danny? Fuck no. And Danny and me are both Puerto Ricans. I give a fuck about them. Let me see. I think it's the same sport. You just get old enough to see the BS. Yeah, but honestly, it is a lot of BS. But no free fights on TV anymore. Before we were getting fights on Tuesdays, fucking knocking fights too. Really good ones. And back in the day, there were 3 or 4 times a year that you would get a free fight on TV and it was somebody that you noticed in real life as a kid. You know, it was a Sugar Ray fight or that you would get on free TV. Tyson fought on free TV. Tyson's been a pay per view draw forever, and he fought on free TV. He fought on Fox. Fuck, I gotta pay for. Let me see. Zab really did that. Yeah, he did do that, man. It was in South Beach, and much love to like Zab. Like Zab, um, is like the age group right above me. Like fucking but I got mad love for Zab. Like I think his career like could have been far better if frankly he wasn't doing the goon shit as much. I mean, he did straighten himself out like in his later years, but if he would have had his head on right from Jump Street, I think that whole crop of New York boxers would have been a little bit better, including Paulie. Paulie was known to do dumb shit too back in the day. But Collazo was probably rated just as high, if not higher, than Zab Judah when they were amateurs or when they were coming up, and he got involved in a lot of the dumb shit too. You know, but I mean, if you had to watch a documentary about Errol Spence or a Zab Judah or a Collazo or even Paulie, they have 10 times more character and more, shit that happened while they were fighting. If you were to make a documentary while they were like actively living about their real lives, what's Errol going to show you in a documentary that probably doesn't make you throw up? Suspicious dancing, nearly making out with cats. Like, let me see. Damn. I think Morrell versus Fox is going to be good. Well, let's see. I got to look into that more. Let me see. Morrell's that Dominican dude, though, right? Elfa, remember those kids in Zab's own neighborhood, Brownsville, robbed him and his brother? Brownsville off the chain. They got their stuff back, though. Yeah, I mean, Brownsville is the worst neighborhood in New York, bar none. Bronx is the worst borough, but Brownsville is the worst. It's like the land that God forgot. You got to compare that to Botswana or Iraq. Even though I've seen like, and I've been to some bad hoods, like Newark MLK projects when it was real bad. Albany projects in Brooklyn, fucking Red Hook when Red Hook was real bad. Pink houses, but none of that shit compares to Brownsville. And Brownsville has I'm not even talking about the projects in Brownsville. Regular Brownsville, St. John's, St. Mark's, Saratoga, fucking shitty. Let me see. Alpha, remember the? I'm sorry. Cuban, like a Cuban chain. Mike Tyson's book has some crazy stories about Brownsville. Someone ripped his head off his pigeon in front of him. Yeah, I believe that, man. And Brownsville has a long storied history of creating great fighters. Including Jewish fighters back in the day. 1800s. Like so Brownsville's always been nutty. And much love to Brownsville too, but I shit on Brownsville and the Bronx, but I got family in both places, so it's not dissing them. And they probably know I wouldn't be dissing them. But let me see. Morrell is Cuban. Oh, okay. Yeah, but let me take off on that note. And again, and I want to shout out like CJ Goodfellow. Yesterday, he actually threw my recommendation, or the day before, for my videos, and I did appreciate that, like, because it went from me getting 3 people watching on a constant to like 6 and 7, double numbers, like fucking no, but I'm not shitting on it one iota. The fact that one person, like fucking, besides my wife, wants to listen to me fucking go on is a miracle in itself, and it's a miracle because you guys, like, coming through. And I appreciate every one of you guys that come through either live, after the fact. It's all love. Again, I don't have no beef with no fucking faction of fighters. If you got beef with me, you're a fucking cornball. You're over here getting upset, like trying to fight somebody over a fighter that doesn't know you exist. That will maybe give you a high five if you buy one of those seats along the walkway when they walk into the ring. And that's a big maybe because you're too ugly and you probably give a handshake to some chick, or in Errol's case, some light skinned dude. Oh, foul. That one time I was in Brownsville, these kids made me pay for free parking. They left the car in good condition though. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, that's a shady ass place to be. And you know it's shady too because if you go there, like every neighborhood in New York has like mad busy areas, walking like traffic and whatnot. Brownsville has a somewhat busy traffic area, but that's it. Everything else is like fucking just straight up grimy looking. No regular name brand stores besides like VIM or fucking Foot Locker. They may not even have a Foot Locker. I haven't been in a while though. Morel is Cuban. Yeah, my bad. I think I went over that one. But again, like I want to thank you guys for coming through. This was fun for me. The and I hope you guys enjoy my content like today and my other shit that I put out. But with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and take care of yourselves. Peace.